All right, hey guys. Welcome to my shop, Zen Motorcycles. It's December the 21st, so we've shut down for the year. We're opening again in the new year, about on the 6th of Jan. So you're probably watching this a couple of days from now after I've edited the video. But I thought I'd just cap off the year with a different type of video. I normally do bike, motorcycle work. Since I don't have any more work to do for the year, a viewer of mine actually suggested or requested that I do a rundown of my toolbox. So I thought that'd be a great idea. Let's go through what a motorcycle tech with over 10 years in the industry has accumulated over the years. So let's get into it. Here's my toolbox. It's a Milwaukee combo kit with a roller cab down the bottom and the top box up there. I think it's the 56-inch one. They do a 64-inch one, so this is like the middle sort of size that they do. It's probably, I've packed it out almost to capacity, but this is overall like everything I need in my career, minus the workshop special tools that we have in a separate toolbox and the lathe tools that we keep over there in that box. But these ones all in here are my personal tools that I've invested in, close to around probably 20,000 Australian dollars has gone into this box. I reckon actually more. So it's my livelihood is in there. I'm very proud of my collection. So let's get into what I have. We'll start off with the top cab here, what I keep for quick access. So these are my mostly used tools that I need to grab all the time. So generally the way I work is that I will load up tools that I take out from the box. I'll load up on here as I need them, and then at the end of the day, everything gets packed down into the box again, cleaned and packed down at the end of every day. I do that because if there's any tool that I've left somewhere, like a socket on a bike, I'm going to identify it by the end of the day, so it's fresh in my head and I can actually find it again rather than look for it tomorrow morning or in a week from now when I forgot when I used the tool last. That's why having places for all your tools is really essential to keep track of them, especially when they cost so much. You need to be able to do that. So we'll start with what I keep at the top there on the magnets and work our way down. We'll start with the snap-on soldering iron. So this guy here, I got this one recently off the snap-on truck. It's a well overpowered soldering iron. Like, this is something that I didn't realize I needed it until I got it. One of the benefits of these is that it stands upright like that, has a magnetic base on the bottom, and also has 3 temperature controls, and gets hot in about 10 seconds probably. Let's turn that on there. You can see once that light stops flashing, it should be at temperature, ready to melt solder. There we go. That's at operating temperature now. I can turn it up as well with that button there. See, let's go put on full. Yeah, it's already at operating temperature. Super quick. Has some lights on the front there. You can change those tips around as well. But yeah, great soldering iron overall. Love this thing. Definitely not necessary for a beginner or hobbyist mechanic. It's well overkill, but for somebody who uses it, I use this every day, and it's a fantastic investment. And that's the charger I use for that there. Didn't go with the Milwaukee one like my other tools because the Snap-on guy had a good deal on that at the time. I thought I'd give it a go. Next, let's go over. These are my 3/8 and quarter drive sockets. 3/8 refers to the 3/8 square hole, 3/8 of an inch, and the 1/4 inch square hole that's on the bottom there. So metric tools, imperial tools. These snap-on rails are great. So if you bring over a bench, you've got all your sockets over there, easy access, and when you're done with them, just chuck them up there. Alternatively, I just leave them up there and grab the socket that I need. I've gotten pretty good over the years of just looking at a bolt head and just knowing what socket is going to go on there. The 3/8 sockets I've standardized with 12 points, and the quarters I've standardized with 6 points, partly because the 3/8 are a little bit stronger, and you do get a lot of bolts now that need the 12 points on there. Plus, also it's just easier to find an easy fit on there with the 12 points as opposed to the 6 points. 6 points are stronger, but the snap-on sockets, I find them strong enough, and they get replaced under warranty if I ever break one of them. Never have broken one of these, so very happy with them. Plus the chrome is incredibly good on snap-on. It never seems to come off. So the imperial ones, I use these a lot working on Harleys. You can see there they're quite dirty. They get quite a lot of use. So yeah, that's my sockets up there. Moving down, here we have my T-bars. In the motorbike world, T-bars are king. Like basically, if you look at a motocross mechanic, all they have in their toolbox is a few spanners and a ton of T-bars. These are all just hex and Torx. So blue being metric and red being imperial. Green is Torx. These snap-on ones are great because they have all the ball ends on them and plus a flat end on there, on the other end. And they're pretty strong. They've got nice grip on them as well. Plus you can spin them. You're working on them, spin away like that. So happy with those. I've only ever broken one of these T-bars, which is this one here, where the Torx bits, basically broke some teeth off there, wasn't able to use it. The T27 is a pretty important socket bit type that you use on Harleys. So that's why I just went through that one there, but it was replaced under warranty by the Snap-on man. Plus a few of my Imperial ones, getting lots of use on Harleys. I've broken a few ball ends, but you just grind them down to a flat. So they're all my T-bars, metric, Torx, Imperial. And moving over here to the right a little bit more. These are just some screwdrivers. It's my stubby Phillips and stubby flat blade right there. Plus the mini screwdrivers, the smaller applications. And this is just a piece of wood that I've just drilled some holes in just to support everything, keep everything organized. Yeah, cheap, simple solution, cheap, dirty solution, but happy it works. Moving on to the hex bits. Again, so these are the quarter drive bits there, and these are 3/8 drive bits there. The brand I've gone for with these is King Chrome. They're in a local Aussie company here. Pretty happy with them. I haven't broken any of these ones here, but the Torx bits, I have broken a few of them by now. You can see I've replaced a few of them with non-King Chrome brands, just like stuff I got off eBay. Shit happens, particularly with these Torx bits. You gotta load them up sometimes. So yeah, if any more of them break, I'd probably invest in a Snap-on set eventually, but we'll get to that when I get to it. And down there, these are my Imperial hex bits. I used to have a King Chrome one that was right here, but I replaced it with a Snap-on one recently, just being because I use so many of these on Harleys. And I want to have a precision fit, which is what Snap-on offer with these. You just find they do fit a little bit snugger into the socket heads, so the bolt heads that you put them in. So yeah, very happy with these. Plus you get a lot of length on them, and you can grind them. If you do like snap a head off, you can grind it down and just still keep using them until you basically run out. But then if you do run out, the Snap-on guy will replace these as well. So as you notice, I've got a lot of Snap-on gear in here, and it's because it's just, when you're a professional technician in the industry who uses this stuff every day, Snap-on starts to make a lot more sense. If you're just a hobbyist at home, I would not recommend buying Snap-on. You're just going to be throwing money away, and you'll never get the full benefits out of the tools. Just finish off the sockets I have up here. These are my deep sockets. I only have some metric ones here, so they're again 3/8 and quarters. And here are my impact sockets in metric. These get quite a lot of use as well. Like, you know, you can see them well flogged out of the bottom there. A lot of people don't know what's the difference between a impact socket and a standard chrome socket. So here are the main, so I'll try and explain the differences. Ignore the 6-point and the 12-point. That's kind of irrelevant. It's just the style of socket, and the length you don't need to worry about. That's just, again, the style of socket. What you do need to look at though is obviously the color, black and chrome. The black is basically a different type of steel on there, whereas this is chrome vanadium or something. But the steel they use for the impact sockets are designed to flex more, whereas chrome sockets are rigid sockets. They just will shatter under too much abuse with the impact gun, whereas the black sockets are able to absorb that shock and also transmit it into the bolt that you're actually trying to undo. Whereas these ones here, the chrome sockets will just absorb the impacts, and not as much torque gets transferred into the actual bolt you're using. So these basically kind of suck it up, whereas these absorb it and then able to put it back out again under the flex that they get. So under everyday use, you do want to have impact rated sockets for your impact guns, because you will wear these sockets down, fatigue them, and they'll start to form cracks in this one. One day you'll be undoing a bolt with one of these if you've used it on the impact gun too much, and you'll just find it just shatters on you. So yeah, impact. Now all the sockets sorted. Over here is just like little bits kit I have for my impact guns, and just, you know, there's a Phillips and a hex bit there as well. Again, like some Torx bits there, and that's all like the quarter fittings that go into standard power tools. So in saying that, let's look at the power tools now. So I keep ultimately 5 different types. Here's my ratchet, electric ratchet. Reverse it up there and there, and that little switch on there locks it in for the transport. So this is a Milwaukee ratchet, the M12 series, and they do have a heavier duty impact ratchet which has a brushless motor in it. I opted not to get that one, even though it is rated for more power, more torque, because the brushless one, so the brush motor, has a much smaller head on there. It's a much smaller profile, so I can fit that in tighter spaces, which is a good benefit for working on bikes. So yeah, that's the one I've gone with. Very happy with it. Never had any issues with it. Next is the electric screwdriver. I mainly keep this Phillips head. Oh, that's on. This Phillips head in there. That's just for everyday general use. Your Phillips heads. Phillips number 2 is one of the most common tools to use. So that's just self-explanatory there. It also has a drill function on the top, so if you have any hex drill bits, you can plug them in there and use that. This is just an impact gun, not an impact wrench. It's a gun because it has a 1/4 inch hole in there. It's not made for high torque, but for using these little guys, it's perfect for it. I even use a little quarter bit on there, a quarter adapter to put a quarter socket on there, so you can see like that. Just like that. And that's, even though these aren't impact sockets, I'm never using this tool to do huge impacts, like heavily torqued bolts on there. I won't use it for that. This is just for quick access loose bolts that are just need to zip off real quick. Whack off, zip off. Next is my 3/8 Milwaukee impact wrench, one of my most commonly used tools, just for taking off nuts and bolts super quick. There's that one there. So that's what all these like impact sockets mainly get used on. Yep. So yeah. So that'll about wrap up the top cab. Actually, I'll bring you around to the side here, just show you other stuff I have for quick access. So these are all my sprays up. Just sprays just for easy access, like window cleaner, that's an insect remover, just some cleaning stuff. Here's a torch with a good spotlight and a, open this up, go. And the bar light has a magnet on there. Very bright, very handy. Charges off a USB-C. Battery lasts forever on there. Take that thing camping as well. Very handy. And down here is where I keep all my screwdrivers, quick access. So the Phillips there, flat blades there. And you always have to make sure that the brand is facing outwards, because I want people to know how much money I spent on this. All right, let's move down. Alrighty, I'll start moving down into the rest of the toolbox to go through that with you. So this is top row is my spanner drill. So my main set of spanners I've gone with is this top tool kit. Very happy with this one. Mainly I got a good price on it at the time. It's good quality. Comes with all the sizes I needed. So this Imperials goes down from 1/4 to 1 inch. And this side metric goes from 6 to 24 mil. Plus I've got like a 7 and a 9 there, just to make up for the few that are missing right there. That goes 6, 8, 10. Like basically all the spanners that I need in my daily life are in this drawer here. I have some jumbos up there, 27 to 36 on there. These jumbo spanners are really good if you got like an axle nut that's been that's blocked by an exhaust, like a muffler or something like that. You can, because you got the lower profile in there, you can get the axle nut off without having to remove an exhaust. So just as a means of saving time. Plus you get lots of leverage on them. Just got a few shifters in there. As any mechanic knows, you don't use shifters on nuts and bolts. You use shifters to bend things back into place. If you need to use a shifter for take off a nut or a bolt, grab the right size. Don't use a shifter. Shifters for other things. Let's move across here now. This is just personal effects, stickers, chewing gum, things like that. Not easy access tools, but in this box you can lock that one up separately. So if you want to keep things like your wallet or your phone in there, you can lock it up and walk away whilst leaving the rest of your toolbox open. So that's moving on. Next drawer down is where I keep all my ratchets and other ratchet related material. So let's go through my ratchets, what I have. So I have 3 3/8 ratchets and 2 quarter drive ratchets as my main ones. They're all, again, snap-on. So the snap-on ratchets are what they're particularly known for. If you were going to have, if the only snap-on item you're going to have in your toolbox, if you only have one snap-on item in your toolbox, I'd recommend getting ratchets, because their competitors really have trouble beating snap-on their ratchet quality. They've had patented designs, and they have like 120 teeth in their ratchets, which makes it very fine. Here, very fine movement in there, which when you're using these things every day, that finer movement is basically, it's absolutely essential. This is my first ratchet I've ever got, and has a quick release on there. Well, if you need to, easy to come off, just goes. The stubby 3/8 doesn't have a quick release, so that one, if you got greasy fingers, it's a little bit tricky to get those off, which is fine. You always manage. Just a little bit annoying, but the quick release is handy. This long ratchet here is very useful, having the extra leverage on there, plus the flex head. Other brands of flex head ratchets I wouldn't trust as much, because I've seen them break. In fact, I've broken them. These snap-on ones, though, I've never seen one of these break on anyone who's had one, really. Besides, if you were to break it at that weak point right there, you can always get it replaced in the warranty by the snap-on truck. Plus, they also sell rebuild kits for the teeth inside here. So if you do wear the mechanism down, because it is a wearable item, you can get it replaced under not under warranty from Snap-on, because it's a wearable item, but they're pretty inexpensive. I think it's like 30 to 40 bucks for a rebuild kit. So effectively, these ratchets will last me the rest of my career. I won't be buying any more ratchets unless I lose these or they get stolen. All right, so moving back down here, let's put these guys away. I'll go through the rest of the have in here. So, like I said, everything in this drawer is socket related. So here's my crow's foots. They're all in Imperial, mainly for the Harley world. Then 3/8 drive. Here are E-Torx bits. E-Torx being these newer things you see on lots of German stuff now. That's a King Chrome brand. I've only needed like a few of these sizes for some random German things I've worked on before. I've very rarely used these, hence why they're at the back. Again, these are tamper-proof Torx. The difference is they're still a 12-point Torx bit, but with a little hole machined out of them for tamper-proof type ones. And security bolts. I got those ones in the longer style ones, because if I need a longer one as opposed to these shorter ones here, I can always grab one of these, because these will work on those despite having a hole. They are a bit weaker with that hole in there, but ultimately I haven't had too much of an issue with them, and I don't need to use those very often, hence why they're at the back. Moving over here, here are the long hex bits. These are the exact same sizes, but these ones are ball end and these ones are just straight ends. Again, snap-on bits. I got these. I probably wouldn't buy these again, but I don't regret buying these. They're incredibly useful, particularly these ball end ones. I've broken a few of the ball ends on these, and the snap-on guys just replace them under warranty. If you're working on Harleys, so useful to have these. Just saves you having to take certain things off. Plus also having the longer ones there. There are some things that are pretty hard to access on Harleys, so having these bits are really handy, especially when you need to torque things down later with a torque wrench. You can't use Allen keys for tight access. You got to use these things. So very happy with these. Expensive bits, but again, they'll last me the rest of my career. Moving over here, these are this is a King Chrome deep long hex sockets with basically the exact same size as those, but obviously just a bit longer. And these ones are ball end ones. These are Hans Tools ones, I believe. And I've broken the 5mm one. That sucks, because that's the most common one I need to use. So again, it's nice when you break one of those ball ends and it's not a snap-on. It's a big, very, very sad day. Anyway, so they're where all are on our 3/8 drive as well. Over here, so this little box here is just full of things like socket extensions, like there are 3/8 extensions, universal joint there. That's like a little hex adapter for the a 3/8 bit. That's a universal wobble bit for an impact gun as well. Has a different mechanism as opposed to this type of one. That's that there. We'll go through, these are my 1/4" extensions. These are just straight extensions, and these are wobble extensions. The wobble bit being, you can see how there's like 2 tapers on there, and allows just sockets to wobble on there, so you can get them into tight access. Very, very useful on you're working on bikes. You do have tight access in a lot of places, and I got Snap-on brand with all these ones as well, being that the wobbles, there's a weak point that's inside there, so if I do break any of these, I'll get replaced in the warranty. Yeah, and these ones are I don't know what brand these ones are. They're a good brand though, never had any issues with them, happy. And finally in this drawer, we have the spark plug sockets. These are some of my favorite spark plug sockets I've ever used. They're made by Motion Pro, which is a motorbike special tool company. That's the little brand right there. That's all the sizes for spark plugs you'll need, and they're fantastic. They've got a really thin profile, so they fit in tight bores. Some modern engines have really, really tight spark plug bores in them, so most socket you need like a low profile socket, and these seem to suit all that. Plus inside there, spark plugs are actually they clip onto the end of spark plugs, so you can lower one down a chute without risking the spark plug falling off and damaging itself. So really happy with these spark plug sockets here. I'd recommend them to anyone, not just a bike mechanic, anyone who works on things that you have to remove spark plugs on. Move across over this side now. So this is a drawer of many bits in here. Again, it's a Worth brand, just assorted little bits you need for things, like little security bits, whatever you might need, just a massive assortment, plus some deeper ones up there. Over here, these are, again, just Torx bits. I have an Allen key. Every now and again you can only get access on something like with an Allen key, so that's why I have those, and I went with tamper-proof ones as well, just in case I do need it, but I very rarely needed to use that, just on certain jobs. These are Snap-on Allen keys. Again, you're probably noticing there's like some double ups, like where these are all hex bits that also are T-bars, and those hex bits right there. Like, why do you have so many options for taking off hex bits? The answer is the Allen keys are kind of just handy if you have tight access, or if you need to like walk over somewhere, you don't want to take you don't know what size you need, so you need to take a bunch over. So ultimately don't use these very much, but they still do get used, but yeah, not as often as you might think once you have all these other better alternatives. But it's still absolutely essential to have in your toolbox. If you're going to have one type of hex bits, I'd say get Allen keys, just because they're so much more versatile. Moving on, again, this is a little flat micro ratchet, just for putting these little bits in there. So if you've got a little 5mm and a tight space in there, that's a good little profile, and this is a little ratcheting head. The other cool thing about this is it has a low profile socket option. This guy, yeah, like that. So yeah, if you need like a low profile, that's a 14mm right there, but you can see how, oops, a little bit better. Yeah, now it's in properly. Yeah, so that's just a super low profile socket on there. Worth made this one. There are other brands, but you cannot get this one from Worth anymore. I tried to buy one for somebody as a present, and they won't sell them. But that's a incredibly useful little kit. Worth, if you're listening, you should definitely reproduce that one again, because it's fantastic. Up here, that's just a spark plug gapping tool, Snap-on one. Nothing fancy about it. This is a deburrer. That's a center punch, spring-loaded center punch. A few little drill bits. That's the drill bit I use to drill holes for number plates. Tiny Torx bits for doing tiny stuff. If you want to take apart like an ECU or something, they sometimes have these tiny little Torx bits on there. Again, just a tiny screwdriver, inspection mirror. Now this little fancy guy here is a seal puller from Motion Pro. What's great about these is that you come with different heads on them, different sizes, and it's a soft aluminium, so you're less likely to damage the thing like the wall of the surface you're pulling out from. So yeah, handy little tool. It just works by applying leverage like that, and you have different head sizes to go with it. Pickup magnet, using my picks here, scriber, and that's just a bigger screwdriver. Big flat blade, doesn't get used as much as those guys around there, so that's why I keep it in there, plus there's enough space for it. Mini pry bar. I've discovered, as I've been starting to film all my work, that this mini pry bar is the unsung hero of my toolbox. It seems to get so much work out. I use it, I almost always have it on me when I'm working on it just to pull out little things. So super underrated tool, just a mini pry bar, and it saves you having to damage your screwdrivers like I have on this one. You can probably, might be hard to see on camera, but it has got a little bend up in it from trying to pry things out on it. And yeah, so this guy here is a very, very, very important tool in my toolbox. Surprising how important it was. I didn't realize it. I thought it was just a cute little thing when I got it. Surprising how much I use that thing. And again, just picks, snap-on picks. Again, probably not necessarily go with these snap-on ones, but I have them. So what can you do? Moving right down. Let's go down this way. This is I call the "Oops, I fucked up" block. It has all my extractors, sort of extractor types in there. Like these are left-handed drill bits for pulling out like damaged bolts. Sometimes if you're using a left-handed bit, if you're drilling the top of the head, because it's spinning the opposite way to the, spinning the loose way, spinning lefty loosey to drill into the hole. Sometimes the drill bit actually catches it and pulls it out. Again, these are Torx extractor bits from Blue Point. So they're handy. These are bolt extractors, incredibly good ones because they're short, so you don't, it looks like it'll break these things. I've never broken one of these guys. They're really well made. That's another snap-on product. These are just spare bits, sacrifice bits. That's just the cheap bits. So if I need to punch a bit into something to make a hole or whatever, I can use these guys here. If you've got like a damaged bolt, and yeah, like I said, these are all got a bunch missing on there because these are sacrifice ones. I use them to break them. This little guy here is a useful little extractor set as well. These are designed to take off worn Phillips head screws out. So you put these in your drill and just basically run it in reverse, and these edges can catch the edge of the worn Phillips head and might be able to extract it. Worst case, if it doesn't, you just keep drilling until you drill all the way through the head on the Phillips head, and then you'll be able to just extract it normally after that. These are micro Torx screwdrivers. They're only here because I couldn't fit them up into the other drawer there. That's just like some drill bits that fit into the quarter drive chuck. Just some more extractors on there. So yeah, like I said, this is the "Oops, I fucked up" drawer. There's just some more extractors inside there. Nothing but, yeah, basically they're extractors as well. There's some drill bits for certain extractors. So yeah, this is basically the drawer I come to when I need to break something, or when I've broken something and I need to fix that issue. So that's why it's called the "Oops, I fucked up" drawer. Moving over here, this is all my pliers or plier-like things, side cutters, needle nose, regular pliers, I guess, or grips. Again, snap-on brand, pretty happy with those. Over here we have the vice grips. I've gone with the clips with these ones. Again, they're fine. Like million-one uses vice grips. These are locking ones as well. So you lock them down and adjust them with a little wind down there. Million-one uses. I think you don't need to say any more about that. This guy here, very useful tool. Very, very useful. It's basically, this is designed to pull like things like hoses off or fuel lines, anything round off. So if you imagine using this little guy up here, you know, pull like a fuel line off or something like that, you can grip it like that without damaging the hose itself too much. Yeah, very, very useful tool. Highly recommend any mechanic, hobbyist mechanic. That's a, yeah, very useful tool. Irwin adjustable vice grips. Again, self-explanatory. That's a nail puller, but you need to make a low profile cut or extract something out. That's a useful tool to have. These are some circlip pliers by Blue Point. Great tool, this one, because it's basically in this mode like that. It's an expander. Move that switch across. Now it's contractor. It's super easy like that. And plus you can change those bits in the top there. Here are the extra bits down there. So you have like some right angle bits, some other straight bits. And these are super strong as well. So if you've got really tough circlips, these are the guys you want. Moving over here, these are snap-on finer circlip pliers. You can see they've got a much smaller tip on there. A lot of circlips you get in the bike world are have really small little holes in them, so you need to use these little guys to get inside there, because these ones are quite a bit bigger, as you can see. So these two are basically both the same. That's a 45-degree angle, one that's just a straight angle on there. And you can reverse these by switching the eyelet hole out of there, and then you can either become an extender or a contractor. Back here, this I use like an exhaust flange expander. You can make this forward and reversible by moving the pin around. And they also have these other teeth, so you have other circlip stuff options on there too. That's just a king chrome one, just your basic average one. There's the other bits that go on there. This guy here I use to, it's just like a bigger flange expander. Whatever I can find it. If that one's too small, I use this one. Self-explanatory. And that's just a G clamp. Just used to have. You can use the wind brake pads in, or clamp something down, whatever. Moving down to the next drawer. This is just where I keep my paperwork, so let's not go over to that one. That's all that. You don't use it for that, you can take this lid off here. Milwaukee advertises like a laptop stand or like a manual stand, so that's just basically a spare box right now. Down here, so it's a bit weird, this box again. These are all ratcheting spanners. It's with a ratcheting head. It's a Stanley kit. I find I don't need these too much, but they still I still reckon they're a good thing to have. You've got like a low profile bolt you have to take off, or sometimes I need an extra like 1/2 inch or another 12-inch or 12 mil spanner. You can have like little lock nuts or something like that. So having a few double spanners from what's natural in here is useful. But plus these have the ratcheting ring ends on them, which is very handy. They're center punches, just from Stanley. Just simple. These ones are probably pretty weak. You've seen me bend quite a few of them. I've had to grind these down and sharpen them as I've used them over the years, but again, they're perfectly fine. Here I have some pry bars, snap-on ones. Again, this is a must-have tool for mechanics, so you just don't use screwdrivers to pry things around. I don't know how I got through life so long without proper pry bars. So the main two you need on bikes, I find, are these two basic sizes. I do have bigger ones and a further draw down, but the ones I basically, these get used the most in my day-to-day. I very rarely have to use any bigger on a motorbike. Not that I don't, but I very rarely do. It's out of the way. These are all just various things that I've just saved over the years as sacrifice drifts for like punching things out. That's like an old push rod off a Harley, so you can use it if you need like an extension to whack up, to brace it on the end and like whack that end. Again, that's what all these are for. You can see they've all kind of like mushroom these heads from whacking them over the years. So that's what they're for. Then it's old axles or old engine mount support bolts that are saved for that reason. This one here is the Motion Pro Special Tools. Has a brass end on it. So this one is good for punching stuff that you don't want to damage the end on it. Things like shock adjustment bolts and things like that. Or if just anything you don't want to damage there, that's hence why it's got that little brass bit in there, because brass is a very soft metal that won't leave a mark on something harder like steel. Right. That does it for the top cab. We'll move down to the next one. Before we do that though, we'll just jump over here. That's where I keep my big Duka gun, a big Milwaukee Impact. It has the 1/2 inch drive on there. This is way overkill for a bike mechanic to have. Like I've never needed, like this does like 2,500 Newton meters of torque or something like that. Nothing on a motorbike is ever 2,500 Newton meters. But I do work on I have a 4-wheel drive, a Toyota Hilux, so I use that quite a bit on this, which is why I got the big sucker. But it's way overkill for any work I need to do on a motorbike. Maybe some compensator nuts on Sportsters can get really tight, but even then, not that tight, not tight enough to warrant the use of this guy here. Do I regret buying it? A little bit, because it is a heavy guy to move around the shop, but definitely is not underpowered by any means. So don't recommend it for a motorbike mechanic, but yeah, if it's if you can see yourself using it, I would get one. You'll never need a more powerful impact gun in your life. Big suckers, particularly when you put one of these high output batteries on there. Like there's enough torque on them to rotate the moon. Let's put that one down there, and just while we're looking down there's a few sprays. I don't keep all my sprays down there because it's a little bit hard to access. You also got a little charging station up there, as well as that little charging station. I don't know if you saw that in there. And while we're at it, let's actually just talk about the all the little bottles and stuff I have here. Just things I need a quick access to. So that's a anti-seize and a grease from Motorex. That's a Harley chrome polish. That's a thread sealant, dielectric grease. That's an assembly lube, exhaust sealant. That's a rubber grease for doing like brakes and things like that, to reduce brake noise. That's an assembly lube as well. That's a green high strength Loctite, blue medium strength Loctite, 3-in-1 oil. Every mechanic should have a little bottle of these. It's for lubricating like air tools or just for cleaning rust off or any kind of it's like WD, kind of like WD-40 sort of formula. It's a pipe sealant, super glue, it's grease, like leather protectant. Yeah, you get the idea. Let's move down to the lower roller cab now. All right, so the lower roller cab. Start with the big drawer number 1. Alrighty. So this is where I keep my tap and dies. This is a big tap and die kit because it does metric and imperial. Doesn't have every single size in there. I've found it is missing a couple of sizes, but it has 95% of like everything I ever need. And this is a Boxo brand one. Seems okay quality, but these have all sort of like worn over the years of using them. Like this one basically doesn't work at all. This guy is all sort of all flogged out by now. The little tap wrenches. So what I got from the Snap-on guy was actually a tap wrench set of sockets, and these are sort of sockets designed to fit these little square sizes inside there. So I kind of just, if I need to use a tap, I kind of just put it on a ratchet now, to be honest. I'll show you what that setup looks like. Right here, give me a second. So you need a big tap, find the right size, which is that one there. And just put it on here. There you go, just like that. So overall, you have a lot more control over that. Easy to use, it's fine. I do need to buy some new. I do want to get some new tap wrenches though, because you do get some instances where you can't use that. So you can't use these. Yeah, so tap and dies. Taps are for making threads. Dies for making threads. External threads, internal threads. All right. Moving on over here, these are Imperial impact sockets. So yeah, I just put these Imperial ones in here because this is where I keep other Imperial sockets. Like their hex bits, metric bits. There's a Imperial hex metric and Torx bits. These are a waste of money because these, I'll just keep breaking these. Like Torx bits and impact guns are just, I don't know, they're just, obviously they don't work properly. Like those little splines in there just keep breaking. Like I just cannot keep these intact, to be honest. Nothing to do with the brand. I believe the brand of these is Top Tool, but I've replaced them with other ones. They all just break anyway. So yeah, don't buy impact Torx sockets. They're just stupid. They just use a hand tool or use these guys. Actually, these guys are better, to be honest. These little chrome ones. Just accept them as a sacrifice. They break, but they're cheap. These are expensive and they break. Self-explanatory. That guy there is a broken tap wrench as well, from Blue Point. That's actually a ratcheting one, but it broke pretty quickly after using it. They don't make it anymore, so it just lives in there. Big torque wrench. This is the 1/2-inch Brutus torque wrench from Snap-on. It's a bit overkill, but I do appreciate it. It's digital. What does it go up to? I think it goes up like 500 Newton meters or something. These torque wrenches are really good because when you hit your torque, they light up and they vibrate in your hand. You get a really good kinetic feel for it. So 406.7 Newton meters, and that is 300 foot-pounds. There you go. So more than enough torque for anything I ever need to do in a bike shop. I did buy a bigger torque wrench as opposed to just a cheaper one, because on Harleys, the compensator nuts need to be torqued up to like, I think it's like 240 Newton meters, and most torque wrenches don't go that high. That's why I went with a good quality Snap-on one. Plus I want people to know that I'm using good quality tools when I'm working on their bikes, and Snap-on's a trusted brand, and the Snap-on guy will recalibrate these on the house as well. So useful for a mechanic using these every day. Let's turn that one off. Alrighty. move down to the big drawer. So this is where I keep my 1/2-inch sockets mainly, all assorted sizes. The only non-snap-on ratchet I have is this King Chrome 1/2-inch ratchet, and that's because it gets used for one thing and one thing only, basically, and that's to be a jack stand operator. So you put a 1/2-inch socket on there, it goes on there like that. So this ratchet is basically used 100% of the time just for operating a jack, hence why I didn't buy a snap-on one. So put this one back like that, and they're imperial and metric sizes there. I'll be honest with you, I have never used any of those sockets, any of these sockets I've never used, and everything up to probably 3/4 I've never used. So they just came in the kit, but you can see these have literally, like, I don't think I've ever used one of these sockets. Like, yeah, like these have just got no wear on them at all, no oil inside them. I think the 17 is probably the only one I've used, and you can see there's a bit of wear on the sides there. Sort of crud in there. But yeah, these will never get used in my whole career probably, because I have these smaller sizes for that. So we'll move up here now. So again, these are mostly everything in here will be a 1/2-inch or a 3/4 inch drive. Here's just 14. These are hex bits for doing things like axles. These are pretty useful. Having these impact ones. That's a 19 on there. These are just other impact sockets in the same sizes. Like, so here's like a 27mm on there. Like, I've just got a 27mm right there. But having the impacts is good because I can use them on the impact gun. These ones are imperial ones. These big giant sockets here are used for things like the single-sided swing arm nuts. Like, this is like off the latest model Ducatis. That's a 60mm one, and that's a 3/4 drive. That's a 3/4 drive adapter there, down to a 1/2-inch. So yeah, 60mm. That's a 38mm. Yep. This one's a 36mm. What's this one here? 55. Yep, 55mm. So like a lot of single-sided swing arms, like Ducatis, Enfield, Augustas, Triumphs, use these big sockets now. So hence why I have these big sockets. Moving over here, these are just deep sockets. Like, these are lug nut sockets for cars, and it comes 17, 19, 21, 22. That's an 18mm there. 24, 27, 32, 36. All different brands because I've just bought them as I've needed them over the years. Pretty just deep sockets. Like the 36mm one, that's 36mm used on Harley rear axle nuts. 27 is most Japanese stuff. 24 is also Japanese stuff. So yeah, you get the idea. Like I said, these ones are coloured because they are made for car lug nuts. Obviously they work on bikes, but I also use them on my car as well. Here's my big snap-on ratchet as well. 1/2-inch drive with a ball end, locking flexible head as well. Because this is so long, effectively acts as like a breaker bar as well for when if you need to get a little tight nut off. But that's my main 1/2-inch. I don't use 1/2-inch sockets too much on motorbikes. It's I find car guys and diesel truck guys use 1/2-inch a lot more liberally than I do, but smaller bikes we tend to use the 3/8 and 1/4 drive guys up there. Moving down, these are just extensions. So that ones I use for bashing things. You can see how it's all mushroomed and fucked down there. In fact, this one should be there. That's just a smaller breaker bar. This one was actually owned by my grandfather, so I'm kind of proud to have that. It's just a small 1/2-inch breaker bar. Useful, like it. Never going to get it away. Family heirloom. Here's my big breaker bar. For breaking big things. These are big pry bars as well, like I was talking earlier, from the same kit, the snap-on guys. I very rarely need to use a pry bar this big in the bike world. In the car, I use that sort of stuff all the time. But yeah, not so much on a bike. Not to say I haven't, I have before, but very rarely use them. These chrome guys back here, these old fork tubes, I use them as extensions for the breaker bar. So I'm going to set my camera up, I'll show you what I mean. Hello. So if you get the breaker bar, and if you need to really stuck on stubborn nut, that's your breaker bar extension right there. That kind of like locks in place. It's reasonably snug. There's a bit of play, but yeah, it does basically won't slide up and down on that side. side. Yeah, so we use that for. Moving down here, or side over here. Here are just some air tools, like a little die grinder and like a gasket sort of sander thing, or a right angle die grinder. That's a. Again, it's pretty sure this is my grandfather's too. It's a Shinadong Diong. I don't know. It's that brand. So that's also a family heirloom. These air tools just seem to last forever if you just keep drop a bit of oil down there. The 3-in-1 oil we were talking about earlier. Drop that down there. These tools will last forever. Yeah, it's just a right angle one with a little gasket sander on there. Here's my pencil grinder from Blue Point for your little engravings or little like these sorts of tungsten bits for grinding things out. It's basically like a handheld tiny little Dremel, but with it runs off an airline. Very useful. And these are bits for it. Here you go. Here's some corn bits. Those guys there. And most Dremel tools just work on that as well. So most of this sort of stuff up there is Dremel stuff. Again, this is all stuff for die grinders, like your little flap, what do you call it? Emery flap, I don't know, pads or whatever. Yeah, emery paper. That's just sanding discs, grinding discs, polishing discs on there, just for those guys over there. Again, that's carbide burrs for the big guy over there. So I think I'll do it for this drawer. Actually, I'll show you this guy real quick. Here's a nice, beautiful burrs for grinding out. I use these when we've got to modify handlebars, like grind out holes for internal wiring. These are incredibly useful. Tungsten, they're basically pretty strong. I don't think I've ever broken one. Moving on. Let's go down this drawer. All right, the special tool drawer. This one might take a while to go through, but this is where I have all my bike-specific special tools. I probably won't go through them all, but I'll try and just list them off just quickly, one by one. Snap-on 3/8 torque wrench, similar to the other one there, but this one's green. These two guys here are hose cutters, designed to leave a nice finish when you're cutting a hose. That's a twist lock wire. Stay out. Alright, so it's going to always slide back in. Fair enough. Anyway, yeah, so things like that I keep in this drawer, yeah, all random specific, very, very specific special tools. Like that's a pliers to take off a fuel line. These are like things like pullers, like little things I made, like just to wind in, just to press something out. Also, these special pliers are for putting chain master link clips on. It's a brake fluid tester. Twist lock wires, that's a chain breaker right there. This little guy here is handy. That's a spark tester, so you can adjust the spark plug gap in there. You stick that in your spark plug, ground it, and you can visually view the spark in there. It's a spoke wrench there from Motion Pro. This one here is a little cauldron cooker I made to do, if I need to cook solder in there, to dip some cable in. I use that just to cook the solder in. It's like a little cauldron. They're oil filter wrenches. There's a pickup tools here. There's like a magnetic one down there. You can see that little magnet pops out. On the other side is a claw one. Little claw to pick up things. That's a measure. Again, these are like special tools for Harleys for locking the cam chains. We have two different types there. Again, this is just a few extra spare sockets, like a socket I've had to grind out a little cutout in there, take something off, like a sensor off. That's a universal axle tool right there. This drawer will stay open. Let's see if this works. There we go. That'll work. Actually, this tool here, you use it to measure like axle alignment on a Harley. It's just a classic tool I have. We just use that little You put that at the swing arm pivot bolt up there, and you match the little cable tie with a little arrow cut out on there. That's where the center of the axle nut is, and you can measure on both sides. So yeah, this is like, that's another chain tool. Definitely want to go through all this, but again, these are tools for locking primary drives on Harley Big Twins. Just wedge them in there. That's an oil pump alignment tool from the Milwaukee 8s. It's a regular puller tool. These two are their flywheel removers for different bikes. That's one I've made on the lathe. That one's just for doing the Harley clutch hub adjustment. So it's just a special tool I made where I welded on some socket and some pipe together. That's a spark plug lead remover. That's a piston ring spreader. It's like a little air chuck. Some spare parts in there for Harley work. Spring pullers. Some blue dye for something. This guy in here is a carb 90 degree adjustment tool for adjusting the mixture screws on carbs with a bunch of assorted bits in the top there. Really useful tool. I'll make a video on how to use that one though. It's a cool little tool. So yeah, that's the special tools. Half of the stuff I made, half of the stuff I bought. Yeah, but it's all assorted, weird assorted stuff in there. Anything else I can show you on there? Oh, that's like a Masterlink press tool. That's a cable lubricator tool. That's a brake piston grabber tool. Yeah, fun times. Moving across to this side, generally measurement tools like vernier calipers, feeler gauges, like that. Tape measure, a ruler, just some tapes, electrical tapes. That's a cloth tape. The big fucking scissors. Yeah, just sandpaper, and that's things like, yeah, just some assembly lubes, just stuff you get out, like packets that have just assembled, kept over the years, sandpaper. Not too much interesting in there. Let's move down next drawer. Hammers. Yeah, hammers. Got a big ball peen, a small dead blow ball peen from Snap-on. There's actually, you can hear that sand moving around inside there. It's a good hammer. Just a little ball peen hammer. This hammer is my main everyday use hammer because it's a soft end, hard end, and it's a dead blow as well. So that's the one I'll usually pull at the start of the day and put it away at the end of the day because it gets a ton of use having the two hard side and a soft side to it. Very handy. The big soft hammer. It's a big dead blow hammer. Dead blow hammers, the idea is you can whack things but without denting them, so you can whack them really hard but it won't leave a dent. So that's the point of that. Hammers are pretty self-explanatory. So moving across here, the further we go down, you're going to find that the boxes get weirdly less organized or less consistent. That's just the way it goes with mechanics toolboxes. We fill them up from the top first, and as we get down, we kind of just start throwing things as they fit. But this one I would call my suspension drawer. It has like things like all these fork seal drivers. There are different shapes and sizes. These Motion Pro ones are great. I'll go through them in a second, but they're like fork caps for different models. That's like an Olin's one. And yeah, just bike service, it's an 8.1 for show big piston forks. Again, other ones just to tap them across. These are mini files. You think you know what files are? It's self-explanatory. That syringe there is for setting fork oil level. Again, you just basically will put that in there, set the roll the right length so you can suck out the fork oil as you need it. Right level. Steering stem bearing remover. It's not the best one, but it works on motocross bikes really well. These are all like suspension preload adjusters on there. Again, these are spanners for doing certain suspension caps. Like that's like an 8-point socket there again. That's for show big piston forks, and that's a 6.1. I think this is a KTM, this one. These are just like a sort of things I've just kept, like some spare spray nozzles in case I break one with tubes and hoses, and these are air guns. So this is sort of like little spares, things like that if I break them. Plus a little magnifying glass in there. Little touch-up paints, air line fittings. Nothing too interesting, just little things I've kept and accumulated over the years. Like these guys here I used to, if I take a fuel line off with like that, where fuel's going to be like leaking out of the tank via gravity, I can stick those over the spouts to block them off. Yeah, just simple things like that. I'll show you these fork caps because these Motion Pro fork caps are the best fork caps on the market. I'll show you. So this is a 40mm So 41mm one, you see on there, and the way they, so you can see you got these two machined pieces to them. When you join them together, twist them around, now they're locked together. And the good thing isn't like this, is because of the way they're machined, is that the diameter inside that ring there is slightly bigger than the diameter of the fork tubes, and so as you're going down, it's a low friction material as well, so these don't grip on the side of the fork legs, and they physically can't come together any tighter, so you won't grip the fork as you're coming down. So yeah, Motion Pro really nailed the design on these things to drive fork seals in. And there's a bunch of assorted sizes for them as well. Oh, that's like a special tool I made to take off like dampening rods on, I think, a big piston fork as well. Show a big piston forks. So there's that. That's that drawer done. This is another special tool drawer, stuff that didn't fit in the drawer up here, and some assorted stuff. I'll just run through the tools I have in here, like brushes. This big socket here is for twin cam Milwaukee 8 engine to take the sprocket nut off. Goes inside there. These are oil filter removers, just the claw type ones that grip on there and destroy the oil filter. That's also an oil filter remover. That's an oil filter remover too. So there's a few oil filter removers in here. Just standard brushes. That's a brake piston spreader. That's a cylinder hone tool, another cylinder hone tool. These are valve stem seal installators. Valve stem seal install tools. So yeah, I don't know what this. Oh, that's valve lapping tools there. These old cables I use here to feed like wiring through things. If you've got like tight space we need to pull wiring through, you can run these through first and tie the bit of wire through there, then pull the rest through. This here is that's a for doing valve shims. It's a type of tool to compress the spring so you can remove the shim. I've only used that on like one bike though. These are some clutch hub holders from Motion Pro. Fuel line. These are all fuel line clamps there. That's a rivet gun. And just a few other random assorted bits in here, like some O-ring spares I've kept. These are bar ends, resistors for LED turn signals, master cylinder bits, springs. Yeah, all just little spare bits and bobs you keep around. Okay. Next drawer down is all my electrical stuff. So things like that's a butane flame there. Wire strippers. These are crimps for crimping electrical terminals. Inside that bag there is all the extra. You can interchange these, the fittings on there, so a different type of crimps. This is a voltage tester, like an indicator light. So you put the clamp on there, you ground that, and then you can probe to find voltage, and it'll actually give you a voltage region on that little screen there. Very useful. So it's basically a voltmeter and a test light all in one. Again, wire strippers. That's a wire stripper down there too. Solder, flux paste, temperature gun there. Some these like little pins, little pin for doing electrical, taking apart electrical harnesses. This here is another crimp tool for NAMS type things, I think. What else is in there? Oh, that's just butane. And that's like some other little, just some wiring. I use these actual guitar strings. So I have these old guitar strings to clean out carburetor jets. So if you've got like a clock carby jet, guitar string or a piano string is a good idea. And this final little guy down here is a funny one. There's a soldering helping hand. So the idea, bit of wire in there, bit of wire in there, and you wind it in. Bring the wires in, and you can put your solder the two wires together. Handy, magnetic. So take it over the bike, do what you need to do with it. Very handy. Yeah, that's enough of that drawer there. Moving down. Let's not talk too much about this drawer. It's all just like assorted other kits in here, like piston ring compressors, other special tools. Like that's a piston ring. That's a valve spring compressor. Wire, twist lock wire in there. Yeah, I won't go through that too much. It's not that interesting. As is this drawer, which is all my spare goodies, like personal effects. Like a bag of assorted wire, socks in case I get my feet sweaty. Yeah, spare socks in case my feet get sweaty at work. Stuff I've broken over the years, but I still can't bear to throw away. Spare brake pads for my bike, whatever else. Stuff I've taken off my bike. Spare gloves, other spare things. Basically, it's a big box of spares is what we're talking about. Yeah. All right, I think that basically sums up the toolbox tour. Yeah, turn that light off. So yeah, that basically breaks down my toolbox. There's probably a few more things in there that I've forgotten to tell you about. Other things you might see me be using, but that's basically the tools that I've accumulated over my career. And yeah, it gets me through the day. It's not everything I use every day because a lot of tools are owned by the workshop. Like random special tools. There's a whole other section over there where we keep them. It's probably a video for another day. That cab down there, plus all that stuff down there, that's in there. Plus all the tools I have for the machining, like the lathe, all the lathe tools and the mill tools all exist inside this special box here, separate from my daily tools. So that's a video for another day. But yeah, I hope you like that video. There's more, like I said, there's more that I could go through, but I think that's enough. This video is getting pretty long as is. If you have any questions about them, if you want to know where I got any of the special tools on there, how I made them, or anything that I didn't explain properly, just let me know in the comments and I'll try and answer them. All right, thanks guys. Have a Merry Christmas and ride safe. Keep going.